It's another brief moment in time. We get to see the change on the timelines. We're shifting, twisting bits of technology, something lifting up the little bits of reality. While the train trips through the space-time, we're surely a randomly sparking the photons around me. Let the light flow from the heat show when the photons ignite, highlighting yo. Then you'll know it's that time when we force a change in our mind's eye. Ho ho! A little bit Linux with something in us. It's almost like we something else, autonomous, or maybe perhaps it's that missing piece you need. Perhaps it's that simple message you're searching. Perhaps it's just a different time framing. Us keeping back the fake you in the mainframe. Getting excited, so are the photons. Don't laminate so we can change the coupon. Let me raise the hash rate, submit the coupon, say give us thanks the rate. One of our major bags. Grips of technology, like cryptographic money and hashing your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter, 'cause this was 3D change perspectives. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
That's right, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm 3D, and I'm here, hopefully, to change your perspective about, well, it might be a little bit confusing and not completely understanding exactly what we mean. We're talking about bugs versus exploits in video games. Now, the original title is Bugs versus Exploits versus Abuse, but to be honest, by the end of writing the episode, the abuse is scattered everywhere. So this is completely abusing bugs and exploits. That's right, we're going to be talking about abusing bugs, abusing exploits in video games. So when was the last bug you remember hearing about, or perhaps you saw an article with a new exploit in a game engine, or something players are abusing in video games in general? Do you really know the difference? Today, I want to explain that difference. This comes from, well, me mostly abusing a bug in Oblivion Remastered that ended up exploiting an obscure bug that ended up being a lot more than just abuse, but even player abusive. So yeah, you heard that right. I'm actually saying that there is certain things that if you're not too careful and you do, you could end up with the system abusing you back. Kind of cool, kind of weird, kind of different, I think. So what am I really saying is, just in those two sentences, I show that these things can be separate or entwined in many ways wouldn't even think of. That's right, many of these ways you wouldn't even think of, because they are not always so easily discovered or so easy to even do. We'll have some proof from some AI that did some math to try to determine what is the likelihood of some of these abuses actually be, some of these bugs becoming full-on exploits, whatever. And some of it's like less than 1% or around 1%. So it's very steep odds. But at the same time, we are going to review OLO, or Oblivion Level Overflow, which is just another way to, it's more generally known as RPG over leveling. But when we do it with Oblivion, we're going to take it a few steps higher. And so and back in the day we used to call it OLO because we would do this in a specific way that originally we only saw in Oblivion, and then again in Skyrim, it was also in there too. So right now I am also preparing some chat. So, so if you're on YouTube or X Twitter, I should be able to get your chat up on the screen here in a little bit. And so by the end of today's episode, I will I'm not gonna exactly show you all the steps of OLO. I'm gonna do that somewhere else on a completely different thing. But we might show some footage next week, or we might play. Yeah, we plan on playing Oblivion next week, and just showing you what an OLO character can really do. Why are people doing it, basically? So today's the first part of this whole ongoing thing, which isn't going to be very long. It's going to be a great episode, though, because the benefits and purpose of doing this, I will also go over them, as well as issues, problems, and even some ways to overcome some of these exploitable, abusive bugs that are going to be abusing you in the end. Alright, so I know that's a really big intro. I don't normally have an intro that long, but I kind of wanted to explain the full spiel because it's kind of weird. Like, really weird. Really weird. You know? Alright, so I want to thank today's partnerships and sponsors like The Organized for teaming up with Bitcoin Live Digital Broadcasting, DB. Because with Bitcoin Live DB and The Organized, it is a powerhouse combo. I see new heights for both organizations, and now if you haven't checked out any of the Organized early morning broadcasts for stacks and other topics, then you are missing out, because they seem to be taking off with more and more views every single day. Find them on X, Twitter, among other social media platforms. And we're going to go ahead and roll in with the roll-ins while we get the sponsorships moving. So what that really means is okay, here it is. Whoop. Right here, I want to thank Shieldfolio for sponsoring today's episode from Within a Quantum Bit, as well as the Bitcoin Live DB network. Now, if you haven't seen a Shieldfolio, well, they're like a little black book that are made from stone paper. So they are failure resistant, tear resistant, even water resistant. So you know the info and secrets you store in your Shieldfolio will last and survive whatever you throw at it. I personally have a Shieldfolio, and I use it from my website info, contacts, crypto keys, among other things. So these are little black books that are pocket-sized and ready to be by your side, regardless of the adventure in real life or online. And absolutely, I do love these things, and they actually most recently have come out with a bunch of new stuff. Go check out their website. We actually have a QR right there in the middle of the screen. Big one. If you scan that, you can go directly to the website. Also, if you notice the entire time throughout today's episode, there will be a bottom QR code with the Shieldfolio logo. You can scan that during any time today's episode or in the future. You go to the Shieldfolio website, and if you use the code BitcoinLive20 right there on the screen, you'll get 20% off your purchase today. Again, it's only on the website, but their Shieldfolio can be found in other places. So let's go ahead and roll in with the roll-ins before we start today's episode. Sorry about that. I just now realized that my mic was not on after playing that. And again, I want to thank Shieldfolio for sponsoring today's episode and Bitcoin Live. But welcome to the greater fourth dimensions quantum bit. Now, if you're on, I said it earlier, if you're on YouTube or on Twitter, go ahead and drop in. You should be able to chat and say hello. I know on one of the pages you at least see the phrase or word chat. Right? You're actually seeing that. We're about to fix that for you, so you don't have to look at that throughout today's episode, but it just kind of proves to you that we do have some amount of chat board up. Just drop in, say hello, and as we see stuff, we will do stuff. Buddhas. Alrighty then. Boom. So, throughout the episode, as we go through and we do stuff, we're going to bring this little pop up. Now, we don't have the highlighters still. I know, that's something I wish I still had. But I can't seem to find one that works where it's not like sending all your information to a server somewhere. It's just not working in-house or having like dropping in a file or something. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be reading stuff as we read stuff. I do have a nice script beside me, more than usual. So we are going to have, hopefully, everything we need to say. But like I said, there's a little QR screen on the screen. You probably should be able to see it right there. Let me see. Am I looking the right way? No, I'm looking the wrong way. Sorry. My VTuber rig is mirroring me when it's not supposed to. My bad. I didn't realize it. So over there is a QR in the top, very top corner of the screen. That will appear for basically every website we go to. We'll try to pop it up every single time, so that way you can follow along with us right now or in the future if you're watching this as a replay. So this is the Organized Media. This is their YouTube channel. That's what we're showing you. We were talking about them earlier. Powerhouse Combo. Great people. They have a lot of stuff going on every single day. Always going live. Always talking about things. See, the boom, they're live right now. So we're going to keep going. We're going to start off with this right here. So this is this article, which is on a book review website, which, I mean, at first I was kind of like, that's weird, but at the same time, if you read a lot of books, you might want to talk about things you don't do. Like, this is why books are actually better. Look at all this crap they have. They have problems with this. We don't have these problems with books. So it was kind of weird, but kind of makes some sense, I guess. Sure. Maybe for the Los Angeles Review of Books, it makes sense. But anyways, they basically wonder on if glitches in video games are a part of the art. Kind of like how misspellings of olden days have become actual used verbiage nowadays. Like when people misspell the word while with LST because it got used by like Shakespeare or something. I don't actually remember who. But it was a long time ago. Now it's commonly used when most people just look at it and keep going. So throughout this article, they basically highlight very specific glitches. Now we could spend all day just reading this. Believe it or not, it's got a lot of good information here. And many of the bugs and glitches that they're showcasing do break the game. And that's kind of the point of today's episode. We're going to be talking about stuff that do break games in different ways. So most of these ones highlighted just add chaos or confusion, but some do actually add in plain fun type experiences with it. I too want to highlight that, well, hold on, whoa, yeah. Highlight some bugs and glitches in these chaos into the video games is sometimes what the new fun experience actually is. Is this glitch or this chaos or this thing? So looking at old game breaks and glitches should kind of help you see to like that if a game is good enough, the glitches become a part of the game versus like you can find another way to sometimes you can find a way around the glitch. Like, oh, just don't do this one thing in this one order and you'll be fine. Sometimes it's like, just don't try to push too fast or do too much or, chillax. So in this article, I'm not going to go through it all. As you see, I'm just kind of scrolling through it. I wanted to give you this information for afterwards in case any of this sounds interesting. There's a lot of really cool stuff in here. Like Cyberpunk had to patch the game heavily to remove many breaking bugs, which they mentioned something over here. While other bugs in here, it's just a matter of reload and don't do that again to prevent the bug. So what happens if a bug affects memory? Well, there's a couple of times in here where they do mention that, and we're going to really find that out later. So first, let's go to the next page, basically. 10 infamous game-breaking bugs. Alright? Pretty simple. So Arkham Asylum, basically it says, it doesn't actually explain it very well. It says, I'm just gonna read the whole thing. Rockstar's game, first entry into their novel, legendary proved superhero games, could stand toe to toe with the beast of the medium has to offer. Similar to what blah blah blah's Batman trilogy, Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy did for the comic book series, Nolan's work cannot abruptly freeze and delete all of the progress you've made up to that point. Okay, so there's the really thing is. So basically, in the game, randomly you had a chance of just losing everything. The game would freeze, file possibly became corrupted, and then the system deletes upon the next reload because it's bad. So this is reality for some Arkham Asylum fans who mercilessly lost their files due to a random glitch. I'm just gonna zoom out. This can happen at any point during the game too. Thank goodness for trophies achievements, otherwise corrupt data would save and erase all trace of 100% completion modes. Which that has happened in the past with people. So number 9, big rigs over the road racing. This is a really big one. So there was a bunch of different big rig games that were quite leaderboard heavy. Like they were all made just basically for the leaderboard play. And I remember playing one where you could even destroy the stuff in your truck, which would hurt you more, and it was still a race. Basically, though, this one was where you were off-road racing. Basically, you see, he's not on it. He's just kind of doing whatever. And this game was completely broken. This game was partially unfinished. Basically, had no collision detection. The players could drive through the map without boundaries, and it was generally unplayable. But it was so mad. Most people had fun at the bizarre oddity that it actually ended up being. So Gran Turismo 2, funny thing, I was a big Gran Turismo fan, and I don't remember this bug specifically, meaning I just basically I was like, ooh, I feel like I got lucky with this one. So Gran Turismo Ultimate Simulator, right? So the maximum speed attack mode has 8 leaderboard spots. If one fills up all 8 spots, the 9th record will trigger a glitch where some garage information just kind of disappears. Fortunately, though, you can just reload the game and you'll be fine. Just reload the game and you'll be fine. So basically, it messed up the save while you were in it, and when you reload into another save, it would just re-add in that data, basically. The Pokemon. Now, we're going to get a little bit more into the Pokemon one, because it's got numerous glitches that exist in the world. Many which will destroy your game data completely. Fallout New Vegas. Let's see. Things are wonky from the outset. Of the further one progresses through the campaign, the more unplayable it slowly becomes. And in the end of the campaign, exploring the world is almost impossible without encountering constant frame rate jitter, frequent crashes, and other random glitches. The game is so good it almost makes it worth it, but playing it on PC is advised. So Star Fox 64, last boss. It stands out because it was like one of the first N64 first party lineup. It was like it was released with some of the systems. Right before reaching the last boss, Andros one can get stuck in an endless fight where they are at the wrong angle before the encounter. Instead of fighting the fight activating, Fox just keeps on flying straight ahead. I've actually had this happen to me before. I was playing with a friend, and it was during the time I was playing, and they thought I broke the game. I thought I broke the game. And I'm like, when I came across this, when I was getting this stuff ready, I was like, glad to know I did not actually break the game. The only way to get out of it is resetting the game and working way back up. Gears of War for PC. So unfortunately, this version came with a serious problem. It could sometimes delete all your files with no warning after you exit. Ice Cream Factory Vice City. While relieving the crime kingpin fantasy, be wary of satisfying the ice cream factory, of saving the ice cream factory. It's not a 100% guarantee, but doing so has a chance of demolishing the game's save file. The property is up for purchase only after raiding Daya's mansion. relatively far into the game, so we'd hate to see more gamers lose much progress. The 04 demo disc. Oh my, I have one of these. Well, actually, I have a bunch. A whole bunch of these. This was like the way to play game. This was like how you. This was like. This is how people used to go, hey, we're about to release a game. This is what it looks like. Instead of giving you those videos, like these would come with videos too. Sometimes not all of these would be playable, but normally all of these would be somewhat playable. Alright, back when demo discs were still a thing, Sony sent a sample of many of their upcoming titles, like Joe 2. Getting far enough into the title would freeze the game and not some friends. People soon found out, however, this freezes also corrupt the memory card, destroying every save file on it, or cloud saves. Everything like night. Now, one of my friends' dad was playing one of these, and they lost everything on the memory card. And it happened more than once. And it got to a point where he called people, and someone from some company told him to, I think it was Pelican Company, told him to pull out your memory card before turning on or off PlayStation. So like make sure when the power runs through the PlayStation for first on and last on, to not have it connected, because that sometimes surged the memory card if it was in the middle of a read or write when that happened, because there was no protection in service to ensure that it wasn't in a read or write when you turn off the system. Nowadays when you go to turn off the system, it takes time to turn off. That's why. So we know for a fact that these discs used to do it, but the reason why these discs do it over like a regular game disc is when the games actually came out, if you go up to it and you're saving, it has a little thing or whatever. And these demo discs were never intended to be saved, but they did save something to your memory card to basically allow other games to pick up on the fact that you're playing these, like Monster Rancher, I think, used that technology, where it would pick up these little bits of information that get saved on your memory card no matter what. It's always going to be stored there. And so the games figured out a way to ensure that, you know, a way around that. Basically, they could control when the system does that. They could do it during a specific point in time, and they could tell the user, hey, do not turn yourself off, on, or unplug anything, or plug anything in. And that was the weirdest thing, is that you could not do any input or output, because this power surge could happen. But these demo discs were not designed with any of that safe checks. And that's mostly because they were not... No, when building these, you didn't go, what about the memory card? The game discs, like the game's disc, when you write to it, the system that uses all that, there's a certain amount of space that is saved specifically for writing to the disc. Like there's a certain amount of, you know, DRM and other stuff. Well, these demo discs don't have a lot of that, and that was the issue. So that, and I think it was like one of the two, like the original Tomb Raider, were the ones that were like the worst at doing it. So Saying Tomorrow, number 2, top 1. Let's see what they had to say. This game-breaking glitch is so hard, it's not only destroys the save file, but the entire disk. The bug is called freezer glitch. Oh! While playing Zombie Uprising and exploring the physics to head out of bounds, a mysterious figure can pop out at any moment. This mysterious figure. Is it this guy? Once it does, the game freezes and the disk is kaput. Thankfully, one isn't likely to accidentally head out of bounds. This entity will only attack those who are a little more adventurous. Still, no one deserves to lose the disk. Wow. Phantom. Hold on. I am just noticing that there's a message on this jacket. Nice hoodie. Phantom cheaters, I think. At first I thought it said Phantom Citizen. I don't know. But, okay. That sucks. So there is something in the game. Probably puts too much power to the game disk. Probably trying to find something that isn't there or something like that, like a file or something, trying to read something that isn't there. But these are really bad game-breaking bugs. Now, all of these are considered bugs, meaning none of these are on purpose, although this very last one does seem like it was done on purpose. And that's absolutely fine, dandy, blah blah. Because we're going to eventually get to the real big bugs, just like right now. We're going to talk about full-on game-breaking bugs. So here's a much larger list of game-breaking bugs. And no, I'm not going to go over all of these, but many of these were not patchable and are still in the games to this very day. Many of these games on this list are first-person titles. Look at these and read the titles it says. Well, let's get to one. Anno Momentum, Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Batman, Arkham Asylum, Arkham Origins, Blackgate, Bubble Bopper. Ooh, wow, really? Sucks. Castlevania, Anniversary Collection, Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow, The Divine Debt, Enter the Matrix, Legend of Zelda, number 2, Link's Awakening. Wow, a couple of things. Awakening at a time, Majora's Mask, Wind Waker. Holy slap! It just keeps going. Like, there's a ton of these, so no. I'm not going over these. I want you guys to have them. Some of these are absolutely insane. The breakage. Okay. We're gonna go over another page that's gonna cover a little bit less of these. But first, let's talk about how a game-breaking bug could be abused. So here's an example of when a mod abuses a bug to exploit the game. In this case, the modders were not actually doing this. Just as the case we are going to showcase later, it's not actually being done or anything, but any mod or game save could be used to inject code into the game's engine and container, and as the game is loaded. And that's the worst part. So basically, like, something is injected into the game save, so when the game is loaded into the game engine's container, it's executing some amount of code. Now, this is seemingly almost identical of the bug we're going to talk about with Oblivion Remastered. But one thing you are about to load a save file. So that's the whole point of this. You have to load the game save in order for this to execute. So there's an icon in your achievement that if your achievements are broken, most likely because you entered the console. And there's a tempered save icon to show that a save file may have been opened at some point. So if they inject, setup, so what if you could inject with a setup that could be done without opening the game file? Exactly. Yeah. This would bypass these game save icons. Doing a mod to basically inject into your save file after you've installed the mod, or while you're playing to like literally inject it as you play, would be untraceable. And being able to do that on any game then makes the game save compromised, untraceably compromised. And this potential with Cyberpunk was so bad. Not only did that was issue warnings, they actually did make code to fix the problem. They did patch it up in some points, and now we have these icons. I do think we need more of these save icon things. That we need more features where they're kind of looking at how things are saving, because that's what we're about to get into. Exploiting bugs to get to memory inside a video game. So we're going to go ahead and jump back a bit. Here is a really big wiki. The title page on the missing number or missing null glitch. the first thing to notice is there are 5 forms this glitch can take. Whoa, whoa, that's a lot. Whoa, why are you zooming in so much? So this glitch can take 5 different forms. Oh, they just make the pictures small again. Really do. So before we even look further on this exploitable glitch bug, I want to point out how complicated a bug or glitch can really be. For example, many old Pokemon players know about this bug. Very few knew there were 5 forms this bug could happen, and many people have experienced at least 2 of these within on their personal system if they've ever seen this bug. So also, many don't know that this bug can be elsewhere in the game. Like, there's also a similar one that allows you to get Mew and even make your Mew like the special legit version Mew that you had to win a contest to get or something, right? So it's like, there's a lot of stuff in here now. Again, this is a really big one. There are like smaller ones, so we're gonna kind of highlight some smaller ones, and then we're gonna get to one where we can reduce it down more on specifically the missing gnome or missing number. So the people will know that if you had to interact with a specific NPC, you had to fly specifically to a specific location or locations on the map, surf on the shore, or I think it was always on a shore, to have a random chance of this bug glitching out and happening for you. Now, other things that came out with this bug is the ability to get Pokemon over level 99, like level 135 or 115, or like a low 100 number. But once they get any experience, they would drop down a level. But this glitch also would it would duplicate items somewhere in your inventory, something like that. This glitch caused a bug that would it caused a bug that people liked, because they could easily get a Pokemon that's really high level to help them out with the end battle games. They can get Pokemons that could just help them with the very end battle, and as they get any amount of level, they don't have to use them again. They're fine. But some people also would abuse this to have unbeatable player-to-player Pokemon via link cable. And because of this bug, turns out there's a lot more that link cable could actually do. And we will get into those shortly. I think we're going to continue going on this missing number for just a little bit more, because like I said, I have a page that's going to reduce this down to as few words as possible. So yes, this is 3 separate pages on just this one glitch. Each one containing less information as the previous. And this one says here, it's a glitch type Pokemon in Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow. It's the most known Pokemon glitch. This glitch occurs due to a bug in the game's programming from the Old Man Battle and others. Only some know how to actually cause it. The most common way to encounter Missino is the red and blue. You go to the northern part of London City, you watch the old man's demonstration on the catch Pokemon, fly to Cinnabar Island, and actually you just have to talk to him. Sometimes he doesn't even do the thing, you can still do it though. Surf up and down the coast until Missino appears. Depending on the player's name, he may or may not show up. Very confusing. You can also perform a Mew trick, which we're kind of hinting on, and there is a way to then take that Mew and make him legit, which we'll show that a bit later. So side effects, it will increase the quantity of your 6th item by 128, unless the 6th item is already at 128, which then you just basically get more in. And if you do it enough times, you can glitch it out to have an infinite amount. So it's used to duplicate items, especially items you can only get one of in the game, like Master Balls. Oh yeah, there's also a way to use this to get the Pokedex to show all the Pokemon available in the Pokedex. I forgot about that. Alright, so the code involving the Old Man fight, basically it's a random battle code, which is geared towards changing the character name, the sprite, and with the encounter, and then changing it back later. Since the character name must be saved and reset later, the programmers used the battle to basically code a save within the battle. When you fly to Cinnabar and surf along the coast, the coding on the coast does not define what Pokemon to battle, therefore the battle code has not reset. Since the last random battle that occurred set the battle code to the character's name. The Pokemon encounter depends on the letters of the name. The glitch sometimes used to obtain rare Pokemon by changing the character's name to specific Pokemon to appear. The reason this causes Missing No to appear is that there is actually 256 Pokemon slots, although there's only 251 Pokemon. So 256 was used because the variable type for the battle code won't allow a smaller number than 256. The rest of the slots hold 56 other glitched Pokemon and 69 Missing No, which explains its name Missing Number, e.g. an unused slot number. Missing No is the actual name of the error to code encounters, but since there is no data for Pokemon to be encountered, the game uses the data it has. Pretty simple. That's why, like, checking its checking further into that individual Pokemon will actually reveal every Pokédex, all the Pokemon in the Pokédex. This is just showing you that's the data it's using. So, I am sure everybody wants to know more about how the letters of your name affects certain Pokemon. I'm pretty sure that's all people really want to know at this point. Well, here we go. Which missing number are you gonna get? And by the way, level 0 missing number, M00. Ooh, love that one. Looks just like all the others, but it's got a cool name. Gold Duck, Hypno, Gold Duck. So basically, you see the letter all the way on one side. I'm not happy with how this thing does not like when I zoom in. Just goes right back to where it was. But when I hit the plus symbol on the actual zoom thing, it doesn't make it much difference. I don't think that did actually. So here we go. Red, Ash, Jack. Wait a minute. Yeah. Whew. So, like, even down to very specific names, which are like the starting names for the characters. Okay, here we go again. Chandler, L'Oreal, Champion Blue. So every little thing they allowed you to put in had a possible output. Look at this. Huge list. Come get it. Because some of these are like absolutely insane characters. Look at some of these levels, man. Super high. And you notice the further down this list we get, the higher level they get. 245 Chandler. Cool Trainer, 200 level 31. Now this Cool Trainer actually unlocks a different trick, which is kind of strange. Come on, Professor. Imagine getting Professor Pokemon at level 226. OMG. Alright. So as you see, some of the stuff is kind of funny, right? Okay. So we're going to now look at ACE, or Arbitrary Code Execution, in the same game. I want to highlight how Pokemon Red and Blue, you can form an ACE stack, which do different things to the link cable. Gonna be that bad. And we're not going to get into it all, but it has something to do with the VRAM and some other stuff, like how the RAM is set up, the way the data is set up. We're not going to the right spot. Okay, alright. Okay, so Generation 1. Using the glitch item causes the program to encounter to jump to RAM location that stores the number of Pokemon in the player's party. This value, as it's stored just after such as the player contents, blah blah, is particularly easy to modify right off the bat. And such, this may be considered the easiest arbitrary code execution. Have the maximum possible control over the value's memory. You duplicate the item. The current simplest way to obtain 8F is through the item underflow glitch. A possible alternative method through much more consuming blah blah blah, whose invalid Pokemon number is 213, corrupts the 4th item in the player's bag, increasing its index number to 15 upon encountering it. However, encountering any Pokemon with a Pokemon dex value of 000 increases the quantity of the 6th item by 128. This allows transferring a good rod into 8F. Even older method, which used heavily corrupted effects on the super glitch, also does exist. Outside of 8F and the 5 numeral numbers, other arbitrary code execution exploits also exist in these games, like Pallet Town and Twin Leaf Town. Turning Pallet Town into Twin Leaf Town. So in Pokemon Yellow, you see a little more difficult. Pokemon Gold and Silver, I think it's even more difficult. And that's kind of the thing. Every Pokemon game just about has this glitch, and each time it's more and more difficult to do. And so, even though these glitches are insanely difficult to do, people accidentally came across a lot of these. And that's, I think, the number one thing to get from this is all these glitches, people accidentally found at least once. And then once you know that it's in one, you just kind of look for it in the next one, and the next one, and then as it keeps going, then you realize, oh, something about the engine or the system has to do with this. In this case, they caught a little bit of both. So, remote code execution, RCE, in the Glitchy City wiki. Where am I? So, this side is going to show us more glitches. Okay? And it's basically saying that some of this is not as detailed and is only for Pokemon. Generation 1. So RCE can be performed with a corrupted party through a link cable. This method was documented on the website of the Navigatory blah 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 in 2015 and shared the Glitch City Laboratories forum by Autodio in 2016. And there's the video and everything if you want to go check it out. So another way to do this is via arbitrary code execution is with the Cool Trainer type move. Using this technique, Crystal Underscore created a 2-player Pong game. So someone actually used Pong game that with the link cable it's playable. RCE exploits for all versions of Generation 1 and 2 games are demonstrated in this little video release. In Generation 2, the RCE can be performed with a corrupted party save. With a party using the link cable again, similar to Generation 1. A proof of concept was demonstrated on this YouTube blah 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 called the Zigzag Glitch in 2014, according to the video description. This video also appears to be the same issue as in number 1, just on number 2. And then number 3, Generation 3, they're using the Nintendo Game Boy Advance cable to exploit it, which basically allows you to hack into the entire save file. It becomes a save file virus. It also allows you to jailbreak the GameCube. In Generation 5, this video demo, I meant the Nintendo GameCube Game Boy Advance cable link cable actually allows you to jailbreak it. This video demonstrates from number 4. There's a video down here that demonstrates the RCE through Nintendo WFC, but not vulnerable because it required a pre-existing ACE payload on it. So you have to break it one way to then break it a second way. So then Generation 7, Wacko, perfect reference. Wacko created a proof of concept that allows RCE through a quick link. So, nice. These are all allowing you to now execute code on the system. Alright. Okay, earlier I hinted at this, so let's see what it actually takes to get a legit Mew. We already looked at what it takes to obtain 8F, and depending on which system you're using, the easier or harder it is to actually obtain. The first step, obtain 8F. Before you encounter missing no, make sure you have one X special in the 6th slot of your bag. Encountering missing no adds 128 of them in your 6th slot of the bag. So if you have less than 120 of them, so as long as you have less than 120 of them, you now have 129 X specials. Now in the battle, you use 2 X specials, and you have 127 X specials specifically. Now catch missing no, which will have 128 again. giving you 255 X specials. Now, set up your bag as follows. Any item of 1, another any item of 1, 255 of that X special, another item of anything, and the rest doesn't actually matter. Make sure you have a Pokemon with Fly in your party. Toss the first 3 random items. Your 255 X specials will duplicate. You will now have 3 stacks of them. This is normal. Continue tossing stacks of 255 X specials until you have access to 2 items. So you only have access to 2 items. Every time you toss a stack, your bag will shrink by 1 slot, but it's okay, we'll fix it later. Toss 253X of the first 255X X specials, then swap with item 1 with item 2, then swap them back. You will now have 0X X specials in slot 1, and the item underflow has been achieved. Go very straight, right edge of Sylvan, 1 step from exiting the loop. Toss 205 X specials from the stack of 0. Throw 1 number away from 0. Then switch to the remaining 1 XX special with the nugget in the 35th position of the bag. Walk 5 steps right, 5 steps down, 20 steps right, and then open item menu to see a F. Switch this item with your first item. Go put it and anything you want to save in the PC. Then fly. Walking will get you stuck to any Pokemon mark. And buy items until your bag is back to normal. Working order. Now we will have 8F. Wasn't that easy? Wow, that's actually the most generic one I've ever seen that works on pretty much all of them. Nice. Step 2. Setting everything else up. Step 3. Use 8F. Now your Mew should be legit. You can transfer it to Gen 6. Step 4. Make Mew shiny. It completely exploited the Mew. I love it. Alright. Before we get into that. So at this point, we are about to actually get into the Oblivion stuff. I mean, I kind of just hinted at it, right? Oh my gosh, why is my thing still... I am upset that my thing is mirroring me. My bad, everybody. So, I showed you some information about older games that can do similar for different reasons. So keep in mind, what I am going to showcase, A, isn't the easiest thing to do. B, takes about 20 plus hours to even begin to do this exploitable bug I'm going to showcase. C, I do not actually fully know what exactly is going on, because yes, I do have proofs and ideals and thoughts and theories, but I'm not opening up the game file, and I'm not using console or any external tools or softwares to actually verify. I'm doing this video. I've already sent an email to interested parties that need to be knowing about this. I've tried doing a bug report multiple times. And I say that meaning I've tried going through the official channels for bug reports, and I keep getting not able to get through. And then I have sent bug reports as email, and as you're going to see also X posts. So I am simply playing the game. All I'm doing to cause this exploit. The reason I'm showing this is I believe I'm injecting data from a live game into a game save without saving, but then at least seemingly executing code, or maybe even just removing checks upon loading a quick save. So yes, this is a bit scary. Injecting sometimes into a game save by loading the game's save file. I'm going to say that again. It's a bit scary because sometimes it seems like we're injecting code into a game save by just loading the game save file. If I am any near correct, you could inject code into a game save to either perform an ace, race, RCE, or something similar to it could be used to inject something as meaningless as injecting God mode into a game save file, or something super meaningful like putting in a Trojan without the game save icon ever popping up, showing it was edited or modded or not an original game save. So making it appear as if nothing's been done to it. It's a very problematic game save that people are going to send and say, hey, I got this cool setup, why don't you try it on your stream? So just like the cyberpunk bug, we'll let you go look at later. So I didn't brief it, but you can surely go check it out. No modders was actually abusing this bug. No persons that I'm aware of is abusing this bug. The one in Cyberpunk was patched, and it basically could have been used in silence until it was patched. So basically I'm saying there needs to be a patch for the bug we're going to showcase today. Even if it's not doing exactly what I think it's doing, this is still a bug that needs to be patched. And I'm going to showcase why. So let's get back into the thingy. Now I'm going to admit this has some amount of joke and flair to it. So keep that in mind. If there's a little bit of, I'm trying to play with you guys a little bit. Like I posted this with some joking in mind. Holy slaps! Did you know on master difficulty, if you make a pretty type 1, they throw you into solitary confinement? Because it doesn't say male and female. Hasn't stopped me though. I'm over 100 days into my Blood Rose character with 151 skill and 2 weeks. So that's basically telling you what I'm doing. I'm sitting at the very beginning of the game, and I am just skill increasing. I'm leveling up. I am playing on the hardest difficulty the game has to offer. So this is an entire thread that's going to basically brief us on quite a bit of stuff. So yes, I'm joking. I'm starting in the prison cell. I've not spoken to any NPCs or begun the tutorial section. I'm unofficially broken the game already on the master difficulty, and I will stream when I'm ready to start the shrine. So later, eventually, on 3D Plays, on a different thing, I will actually stream me starting that and showing. But that will be the stream where I actually explain everything, show everybody how to do it, and go through more of a step-by-step process. This, I just kind of want to make people aware of this problem. And here's kind of some proofs. I got 184 days, 201 scare creases sometime later. I had mentioned before I thought AI was used, and then eventually on accident I found you hit tilde key to get this console, and there actually is AI in the game. It does a bunch of stuff with navigation and other stuff with meshes. And because I have a sticky mouse, it's actually allowed me to find this bug. Well, what may allow me to find that hitting the tilde key opened the console. From my understanding, that just means that it's an open console. Oh my god. Yeah, see, AI nav enabled, nav mesh resolutions, AI crowd draw debug, path optimization. So most of the AI that it is doing is, yeah, it's just telling the, NPCs, enemies and stuff where to go and what to do. And sure, it's not like anything major or whatever, but still shows that it's there. And I think it was also being used with base meshes and some other stuff. I did notice that there's an entire backend dedicated to low-end processing. So probably why I can actually play this game, because I have a really low-end computer. I really like that kind of stuff. The AI part just kind of sucks. So eventually figured out what it is. It's tilde key. So I actually get to a point where there's two consoles. You have like a debug console, and you have like an actual console. And both of them will cause you to have problems using the console. So we get to a point where I'm mapping out areas, all sorts of stuff. You probably don't really care about none of that. We just because there should be something down here. Oh yeah. Um, so I was going in and talking about what exactly I'm doing and how I think this is messing with stuff. And when I was asking Grok a lot of questions, we're going to go over a lot of this stuff with Grok later, at the very end. I got to this point. At this point, I know I am doing something with memory. Because there's a timer that dedicates when that turns on and off, and it's not turning off. Now, we'll actually look at that video in better detail later. And all this stuff, we'll get a little bit more into it. So, that is one quick thread. If we go here, this is me calling them out, let me know I officially broke it. If we go through here, there's some proofs and stuff about stuff, utility key stuff. I don't think there's really anything else in here. Here, my notes say there's something at the near the bottom. Oh yeah. So Grok came up with the way it believed that an RCE could be done, and no, the method Grok believed could be used to RCE Oblivion did not seem to work pretty much at all. But that then made me think that I was on the right path, and I just kept pushing and pushing. And we're gonna get more into what exactly happened. And if we look here, it says, I was on a call while playing. I got a quick save plus load glitch to lock the hero particle effect on my character until I reloaded. So when I was getting the lasting particles and so that survived interactions, they don't load in without losing the glitch. But when I get a unload spells, you can actually reload at least once, for the data container per game or per character. Previously, I was thinking it's per character, but possibly it's per play period. And then I'm saying, is this some kind of hidden accessibility feature, or am I really playing with the game memory? And at this point, I really don't know. And that's the thing that I'm going to get right now. Either this is some hidden accessibility feature allowing me to do the stupidest stuff that you're about to see, or it is a serious glitch that is allowing me to mess with memory. And now I want to kind of prove my point. So this is the last. It says here, yeah, this is the last one. And we see I break the image. I got more really detailed blah blah blah, more blah blah blah. But at this point, I injected what seems like I injected security minor skill level into a different. Basically into a quick save. I loaded to inject a skill level. And the way it worked was I broke the lockpick. And we'll watch the video. I broke the lockpick. And then I stacked a bunch of negative results by breaking and loading until I very quickly got one tumbler success, and then I quick saved to store that data into memory, and without loading, just staying inside there, I go back into security, like to do the same thing I was doing before, and my level had increased. Here's the teaser, because we're gonna actually show it. I was just trying it, failed. I just hit quick load, or load the quick save. And my level is 21. I broke the thingy, I loaded again. Now, I had it leveled up before that, so I saw that carry over. I loaded again very quickly while it's still on the screen. It's still on the screen. I jumped in here. The level is 21. Gonna load again. Oh, maybe it didn't pop in yet. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So we just saw a cut. So kind of just gives you an idea what I'm doing. A bunch of it breaks. I load. It breaks. I load. It breaks. I load. Not one success. And I get a success. Watch this. Level up. We're gonna look at the actual video later. That's a teaser. It did not say level up that second time. You notice that? Come on, get out of the full screen. Alright. Not only am I able to do this 100% on purpose, but I can confirm that I didn't actually inject levels. It only appears like I did. I am most likely overflowing the memory to make the announcement get stuck. That, kind of like I was doing with the particle effect. So the game will not display that at a level. Later on, when I do level again, I managed to get this to happen across 2 different security levels. So I got the announcement of 1 level, quick loaded twice, and then upon the next successful move, quick save to actually get to level. And then was able to do that 2 different times back to back by doing the same thing. Just keep trying until it breaks, I load, it breaks, I load, until I actually get one that works on the first try, and then hit quick save to get the level up. But if anything, it proves there's something wrong with quick save. It is the actual issue. Proving the issue connected to quick saving and loading. It should say on here, and loading, you don't. While I am still only speculating that the quick load and the player queue have a match flow issue. The last object placed in queue can be moved into a quick load when the memory in queue is both overflowed. And I don't know if frames per second is connected, but I do believe that they are. And I've gotten now 3 or 4 of these bugs like this, where putting in exceptions into my firewall, into the antivirus, into the GPU system to give Steam full control, and all these other things, just slowly reducing these weird violation bugs. This is exception access violation reading address, and things are being trying to be read and saved, or read and wrote to in areas that are not allowed by the machine or operating system, and that's scary. Okay, so I didn't realize it was, gosh darn it. Okay, so this is the one I put up after I actually got done with the first stage of 3 stages of the OO. So setting up this thing, and you can see I'm doing something like 34 in-game days per hour, or half a day per minute. So it's some pretty heavy grinding. And as we go further, we can see I plan on spending over 24 hours doing this, and I think I'm like 33 hours in already, and I'm still technically working on it. And I just kind of explained the process a bit more, which we just kind of talked about it. We look at it more, and it's kind of good to note that the frame rates were quite low during all this. There's the teaser clip again. So I think we've read everything else after this. Okay, perfect. So here are actual bugs, exploits, problems, issues, all sorts of things, and just out of fear, double check and make sure I did not get a response. Oh, okay. Alright, so what you're about to watch is actual footage of me playing the game. Some of this will have my audio, some of it will mute the audio, sometimes the audio won't matter. This is, I used this skill and then loaded backwards to get it stuck in the game. Like, it didn't load in this game. It just like I didn't use the skill and hit save and then load. I used the skill on a completely different game loaded backwards, like multiple game saves to it, like a hard save, and it just was there, and it stuck. Like, it's only supposed to last a few seconds, right? Because it's level 1, or the lowest level of clairvoyance. So that's a bit strange. Now we're going to show you what I'm calling the shiny bug. This is the full shiny bug. So the shiny bug is basically when you can get the particle effects to happen, but you do anything, you mess with anything or get hit or anything, they go away. The full shiny bug is when they stay.
You should be able to hear me. So here we go. I had exactly 400 skill increases at level 1 when I healed myself. And now...
Keep in mind, that's all I did. I just healed.
Particle effect stuck.
And I went up a whole nother level after it started because it's still going. I wanted to record it.
Healing.
Lasting a long time.
But there it is. It is saved to my character. So now I have a...
Hold on. I think my video might be stuck.
And now...
There it goes.
I have the healing particle effect stuck. I've been killing stuff, I've been interacting, I've been healing. But there it is. It is saved to my character. So now I have a unique specialty character.
I'm pretty sure that character still does this to this day.
Glows golden, has a golden glow to it.
Sometimes I'll see the little golden globes when I get hit and stuff. You see, as I'm walking backwards, you can see the golden globe. Again, this is on the hardest difficulty. Those rats will kill you in just a couple of jumps. You're not blocking anything, even with armor on. Alright. Now we're about to go, like, I'm right next to a box where I perform the very first minor level carryover. This is level carryover, what you're about to witness. So, this is me just doing what I'm doing. So, I'm loading. I didn't get an success, so I loaded it. I go in, the second my lockpick breaks or something, I load. And so that's what you're going to see me do over and over and over. I'm going to be loading these lockpicks. One of these times, it's going to break. I'm going to get a level up for trying, right? Because you still get level ups when you attempt, as long as you got some successes in between there. Boom. Now I'm going to load. I'm just loading a quick save. It's going to be on my screen. Here it is. I now load a quick save, that same quick save again. And it will still be on my screen. And as I entered, it goes away. Like, oh, it's hard to see it. But it's on the screen at the very last possible second. The screen's black, so it's hard to see. Or it's coming in from a black screen. So, okay, so that's the first spot. Right. So I have another spot that we need to look around at. Alright. Jump ahead. Almost 2 minutes of just doing that. Right lock, pick load, right lock, pick load, right lock, pick load, right lock, pick load, right lock, pick load. I just did a quick save. Did you see that? Look at the very top of the screen. Security level 22. I jumped back a little bit further. So skill level 21. I just broke a lockpick. Hit load, loading the game. Go into it. Success. So I hit quick save. I go in here, level 22. It didn't say I leveled up. I just leveled up. Next time I went in by quick saving. So what happens when you do this? Now I got 4 levels like this. 4. Let me show you what happened when I tried to load a level. Well, actually, let me show you this one first. This happened while I'm getting free level ups. I will eventually talk. I just don't know when in here I start talking like I did on the other one. I have a note telling me where it goes on the other one. This one I don't. Notice my security level is 24. Oh! Leveled up. Here I am.
So, I seemingly am unable to click continue.
That is me rapidly clicking the mouse, trying to find a way to click that button.
3 free sneak levels.
Oh, my bad. 3. That 4th one is this one.
Quick loading. Now, I'm coming across this issue where...
Which this was like my 3rd or 4th time trying to figure out how to get past this.
Pop up. But I'm unable... like, I'm not being centered on it. Like, normally I just click, boom, and I continue. Like, I don't have to do nothing. Or my arrow is available on screen, and I'm able to click on it. Now, I'm not even able to click on it.
The arrow is locked.
I can't see my arrow. I can't do anything. I can't even get my arrow or my mouse outside the game. The mouse is being stuck to the center, basically.
That mouse you see moving is in the video. That little black one you saw, that's in the video. You can't see my mouse right now. So, that mouse you see in the video is actually in the video.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
I had hit enter.
I had to hit enter.
Which is nothing to tell you to hit enter.
Okay.
Nothing. Alright. The big discovery to get around that glitch, because basically the mouse is locked because we're in the security screen. So it locks the mouse. And then it's determining which direction you're going, up, down, left, right, based on when it recenters. From where you were, it just looks at the position you were at before it recenters. And does the math to determine which direction you went. So that's how it does the up, down, left, right for lockpicking. So it doesn't release, it's supposed to release the mouse whenever those little pop-ups pop up. But it doesn't release the mouse this time. Because I'm not actually level 25. I've been to level 25 of my security on the game before, and I did not have this problem. So let me show you, after I hit enter, I had this small issue. I could no longer equip or unequip. Now, I don't have video of it because I was actually frantically trying to figure out what the hell went wrong. I never thought about hitting the record button. So, one of the things I did is I was trying to equip stuff and I couldn't, so I had to pick everything back up off the ground. I did a quick save, or I did a save, and then I loaded a completely different character file. Here is me after loading in the character file, and when I hit the record button, it always brings up the weight, so that's why that's always up there first, so you know.
This is what happened when I was unable to unequip. I was not able to equip or unequip. Although the equip unequip thing isn't happening anymore. Like, it's not just automatic copying stuff anymore. But we are still in the ground.
Now I want to point out, I'm recording this 2 days after this one, this pop-up issue, and I had figured out hit enter to get around it. I'm recording this 2 days later. Like, this happened, right? And I loaded into this game save, completely different character, and saw what happened. Looked around. I turned right, turned back to where I was, exited. Then 2 days later, I loaded the game, and this is what we saw. This is me reacting to it days later, when this glitch wasn't happening on my other game anymore.
This part is stuck. This is now.
And then it just randomly fixed itself. And it was the most insane thing, because there is, like, when I was looking down, so some of the building's internal stuff, or some buildings in the background and stuff, was also down too. Which is really weird. Absolutely insane. So, the bugs and glitches that caused from what we're doing, very insane, can be very drastic, and can last, even if you don't save. It's scary. So now, I want to go over at least some common bugs. Alright. Says the audio on here is not worth it. So here I am. I basically, like, in this spot in the tutorial, you don't normally have a whole lot. So, to make this easy on me, is I trap the enemies into a pit in here. There's a pit with a door. You don't open up the door, they get stuck. Funny. One of the things because you just basically have to run around the hole in the middle of the room before they fall in. One of the things is when you're fast enough, you have your acrobatics high enough, and you have a couple of skill levels at least into your athletics. You can run around this hole fast enough to where this guy will go into a find player state, basically, where he's trying to aim. The character is aiming for a magic attack, but my character is not actually landing on any of the spots it's looking at while I'm going across it 2 different times, or any point in time in front of it, really. And this causes this guy to lock up. And once you do it a couple times and he locks up, if any of the other character enemies go in front of him, he'll go back into a search mode instead of an aim mode or state. Or if you hit him enough times, he'll exit that aim state and go into an actual mode. So here are the creatures I'm locking behind that rat den. And you can see he will move around. I'm showing here what I'm doing. I'm just running around this hole. And as you like actively run, he tends to just pause, like freeze exactly where he's at. And there are some times where you get him stuck in one spot for extended, prolonged periods of time. And so I'm just simply running around and slashing him like every time I pass by, right? It increases acrobatics, it increases my blade, it helps me from getting hit. And I'm locking those guys behind that thing. We're gonna go, I'm gonna hit this guy. I'm pretty sure I kill him while we're on screen. Yep, he's locked, he wasn't even bothering to attack or anything. So, and then, like, we'll go a bit later, we'll be able to see that basically these guys are sometimes locked on me, sometimes not. And it has something to do with this fence. So, as you see, they're locked on me. Like, no matter where I go, I can't get the little thingy to go away. I think that's all I'm really showing you, is just like they're locked on. Like, I'm seen. I can't escape that. So here's the gate where I cannot hit it. We can't hit each other through the gate. Impenetrable. But if we go slightly off to the side of the gate, we can start attacking each other again. And we go in front of the gate. And so if we sit here and we attack these guys long enough in the very front of that gate, they will want to exit that gate. And the reason why these guys are like basically staring at sometimes at the gate instead of me, like, you see how that one in the middle is staring right outside the gate? He's not looking at me. The other two were kind of looking at me, or they're starting to turn around. That's because the AI is telling these guys to go pull on a rock to open up that gate. So it puts a line in front of that gate. They can't even get to the start of that thing. So in a situation like this, let me read the actual script I have here. I want to point out that with this video, little bugs where, like this one, the AI draws where the enemy needs to go. So the enemy is being told to go pull a lever to get outside the gate, instead of mimicking me, the player, who's getting in and out of the gate. This could just be simply because there was never placed in enemy AI scenarios for something like this in the original game. But this type of bug that people are okay with, like for example, I'm on the hardest difficulty, and if I didn't OLO my character, this would be an easy way to get past this point and gain some experience while I'm doing it. So this doesn't actually damage gameplay, and for many, this is just a way to help them get good until they can actually take on the enemy without cheesing the situation. These are bugs we don't mind. Look at another bug people don't mind. This is more funny than anything, and this is a bug we saw in the original game all the time. You see both of these guys are trying to steal from, they're trying to take something off me that I stole from them. But the thing is, I didn't actually take anything off of them the first time, and that's what caused this bug. Is I went to go thieve from Barris, or whatever his name is, and I didn't take anything. I just exited, and it said, "Oh, you know, I took something," and they started coming at me like this. And then if I go and try to talk to him, he says, "Oh, I already caught you." So it's just completely messed up. And yeah, as you see, I have to die to get it to stop. It just won't stop. They won't go out of that. I have to collect that item, but I didn't actually take anything, so there was nothing to collect. Crazy. Okay. Up to this point, we have only showcased somewhat good bugs. Sure, stealing a level can cause issues. When we overflow the memory, we can paint with magic. Yes, that is a fireball. Uninterrupted. It's been there so long, my skeleton died. This is how we do it. Put a summon in a perfect spot. And open a menu as soon as it hits. The same frame it is hitting, you need to open a menu. The same exact frame you're hitting, you need to open the menu. So this seems to work pretty much with almost any NPC or enemy, but it works best on anything you can conjure. The fireball will not have gone through its animation, and since we've already overflowed the memory, it's still locked up. We just lose the animation, the timer, and other parts of the spell that makes the game again. We could do simply paintings in Oblivion Remastered from overloading, and then opening a menu to drop the data out of active memory, and have these tiny little fireballs, ice balls, whatever kind of magic balls to actually make a painting that you would have to go off to the distance to see. So this is just another neat bug. Now this is a much more serious bug. Each one of these fireballs exponentially is taking up memory. Now I have a 64 gigabyte RAM, which allows me to store quite a bit of these. But if I wanted to do an image, I could hold something like 6,400 maybe? No, 640 of these on my screen without completely crashing the computer. But it barely, once you get about 15 of these on the screen, you're going about 1 frame per second. And if you actually watch this, I average like 15 frames per second, something like that. Now, some people are probably still convinced that I don't really know what I'm doing. And at one point in time, I was convinced I could see a town while I was in these sewers, in this tutorial and stuff. So I wanted to figure out, could you crash loading sequences during, like, could you crash stuff while loading the actual game? Yes. You can crash shaders, you can crash the AI, and something else. I don't actually know what the other thing is, but we have proof of one of those. Because once I got the AI thing to break, the shaders one was a little bit easier to break. And no, I'm not explaining it. It is, and all has to do with quick load. So quick save, and then loading that quick save, and you have to have a specific problem happen, and then load into a different character, and then cause that issue again to load back into the other one that was having the issue, which then you get this. I really thought there was a town out there. Now I realize all it really was just tunnels of light. This is what the game actually looks like. This is what some of the, when we're playing, this is the real game. This is actually everything but shaders. Shaders really makes the game the game. All the boundaries are still in place. I cannot exit anything improperly. I can't do anything I'm not allowed to do, but full sewer is loaded, but nothing else is. I really thought there was a town out there in the distance, but what it really ended up being is just another part of the sewer. I think we can get, I think I show how to get to reload. Like, I keep going back and forth, but I eventually enter a new section or grouping, which then said, oh, no shaders. It loaded in the shaders. Well, actually, every time you go into a new group, it's going to load in shaders for that group. And in this case, it did exactly that. Alright. So, what's the point of that? Well, that shows you secret areas and stuff, to be honest. That's dropping shaders is a really old trick that very few people ever know is possible, and very few games is even possible anymore. But it seems like these Unreal Engine games, or whatever engine this one was made on, this remaster, this seems to be prevalent and possible again. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. But basically, it's prevalent and possible again. And in some cases, it's kind of cool, whatever, you know. People who want to find more, we're going to find more. But in other cases, it causes other issues. So, actually causing the shader issue, when I got back to where I was, caused a whole nother problem I didn't think was possible.
Out of nowhere, the rat just got up. Like, it just got up.
And just disappeared.
Where'd it...
And
Where'd it go?
now the rat is back where it was. Back on this side.
I mean,
That's where it was.
Now.
Like, that's the door I just went through, right? No, it's further back.
Like, it just got up.
So, right now, on the right hand side of the door is where the rat is going to reappear, because that's where it was at. Okay? That is where it was at. And I'm going to go attack it. It's going to go poof without any smoke or anything. And turn the audio right back on with us. You hear that sound? Listen when I swipe in that same area one more time.
Where'd it...
Still does same sound, but now it doesn't have the blood sound on top of it. So it still thinks I'm hitting a rat. Then we go down.
Where'd it go?
And we're gonna go, and there it is, back in the doorway. So, I'm not sure if this is because a day or two ago, in real life time factors within the game, I used Reanimate Undead on the rat. And I believe it was that rat. Which, it shouldn't revive a creature, only undead skeletons and such, like maybe a zombie. So, I'm not sure why or how the rat just got up, or what for. And I didn't notice it at first, I just hit the record button the second I did notice it. And I was just like, what? What? Makes no sense. Unless the game got confused. So, I told you guys, we talked to Grok about some of this because I wasn't really sure what all of this really was. And I kind of want to go over some of this. I don't really want to go over all of it, but I asked basically, like, compare this stuff to other ones, blah blah blah, and how do they, you know, whatnot. And so again, I'm going to give you this QR, and we can see that there is this not. And so again, I'm going to give you this QR. And we can see that there is a specific exploit in Oblivion Remastered where you use a speed jump plus OLO plus an AC specific setup of spells to cause major overflow, then to put fortify speed on a zombie, absorb it, and then jump to then access sections of memory you shouldn't be able to access. It is a hypothetical buffer overflow example. It would work through save sharing, and even with no network, it's still injectable capable. And even compares stuff to Pokemon, so it's comparing all of these two. So Pokemon missing number in F8 or 8F, direct jumps of memory, link cable trades, more reliable than the new one. And so all of these are just going to be stuff like that in this point. Now it does say to jump back up. Alright, so we start off, can you find some novel bug games, blah blah blah. And I just kind of talking about how we're going to go over this stuff. And they gave me some ideas about like Cyberpunk, and it gave me ideas about some other ones that I didn't really think were anywhere near as really mad, like the Assassin's Creed one and stuff. But then these Pokemon ones, there were so many in the same game, and they all resonate to the same two exploits. Moving around in memory, and pointer bugs, which again is just moving around in memory, but you're doing it two different ways. And so I'm like asking it all these different questions and asking for technical details, and it's just giving a ton of info. So okay. That's more information than I thought I'd get, blah blah blah, right? Always hyping them up. Then I asked, do we see here, was it can you figure out if there's a link between OLL bug and exploit with some newer memory stuff that I was posting about OLL threads, and they came up with some pretty good perspective. Like one of the things they kept saying is magic spells names are stored through after a sanitization process, but they're stored like direct text. So you can't like put one type of text down for it to look as another text. So you have to use the direct text. So then eventually I asked it if it knew about the jump bug, and was like, after we do the jump bug, could we do something? And that is when it very much realized, oh, possibly. This is me asking about the thing. This is it gonna be telling me, nah, that shouldn't be doable because this has been specifically, noticed. There's something specifically out there to prevent it, right? So, the quick save load overflow affects particle effects buffers, but not the program counter on stack pointer. Spell names stored in a specific data section, unlikely to be misread as code without a specific vulnerability. And it was actually in the past where reading that kind of gave me an idea of what really to do to get further into that. This is how I found out there was even a God mode command. Let's do this interaction. A bunch of other stuff. And then it comes down to basically, no, this ain't gonna work. The most you can do is, make your character look cool. And then for my show, did tell it was doing this for show, so it would give me better outputs and stuff. So I was asking this, like, hey, there's a speed exploit in the Oblivion and Oblivion Remaster where you can create custom magic spell and have thousands of speed. And that's a specific number too, over 1,000 speed to a zombie, and then use the custom spell. Now everyone does it to a skeleton. There's a reason why I say to a zombie does something. And then absorb that spell from the zombie, then jump across the screen breaking the UI, many other things, including the ability to save. Could this be used if the game is already in overflow memory by OLO, and having a custom skill stacked on the zombie, absorb it, and have the names in AC to execute when sanitized or bypass sanitization, even upon landing or of dying to the break elements. Even the hypothetical, explain how it's hypothetical, and doubt, please. So if you come in here and read this later, there's actually doubts in here, which is nice, right? But also, can you give me a table of comparisons between the two games and how they are abusing the system engine? Alright, so keep in mind the computer plane of living is connected to the internet, so consider attempting to access anything, not just computer. And in this case, it kind of focused on just injecting God mode, because it's something that shouldn't be exploitable through this setup, but maybe could be, and it's more feasible than like trying to like actually run some kind of command to the OS or something like that. And it did, because I actually wanted it to verify all this, right? I wanted to look, think, consider, blah blah blah. And I like how it gives us a specific stream to use. Back X90, back XCC, for specific reasons in that order. And then it breaks it down to, well, we broke these down to different things. We might be able to actually put enough into the character allowance to do certain things. Can get that off. While hypothetically possible to, if an unpatched buffer overflow exists, the probability is low, monitoring protections, limited payload size, lack direct execution path. But it got something in there. So, and then we're back to where we're at. Alright, so one of the things it comes down to is like, what are you actually wanting it to do? Because when it comes down to a lot of this, it's like you need to have a strict plan in mind, or else you'll end up just putting some random bits of information into that thing. So I'm like, bro, can you look online for the speed jump exploit? I'm wanting it to find out, well, and I'll also ask it to verify that you're able to use magic in the air, which I know you can. So what if we use set of spells with the idea that they're going to be set in that specific AC to set in God mode? And I also asked it about taking a screenshot and sharing it to X. I don't think it considered that. So it does see that yes, this is possible. It pointed out in here that everyone else is doing it to skeletons. I'm telling it to do it to a zombie. And at some point in here, it points out that there's an actual glitch with zombies that has something to do when you absorb spells off of zombies. Which would help us in what we're needing to do. So, and it does point out that you should be able to cast spells in air. And then doing the hypothetical exploit of specifically using spells in air while this is all going on, or if it can be done, and it puts in a bunch of thought into what it would take to get there. And I do like how it's like actually giving me like it's put cast on a summoned zombie within the parenthesis or whatever. It's crazy some of the stuff it's doing there. It doesn't basically have spaces in its deep memory. Like when it puts something into temporary deep memory that it can pull back onto later, it has no spaces. So OLO's quick save, load loops, overflow, effect buffers, corrupting save data. Speed jumps, extreme speed, blood's position, and physics buffers, breaking UI, and save. This creates a chaotic memory state, potentially exposing vulnerabilities like buffer overloads and pointer differences, based on web information, and it actually gives some of that information. Landing and execution point. Landing updates the player's position and physics state, triggering multiple engine checks. Fall damage during collision. A corrupted memory state could cause the engine to jump to a spell's name address, executing the AC payload. The landing handler reads a corrupted V-table pointer pointing to blank spawning gold. Now, I want to point something out. It doesn't say it here. If you actually come here and read, it does kind of explain it later or somewhere else. In order for this to work, you would have to execute. You would have to hit the spell, and you'd have to have like a macro key or something to do multiple spells as fast as possible, one after another, looping that over and over and over, and so that way the very last spell that you need to do in this specific stack of spells is done in the frame the frame before you hit the ground. So the frame before any checks are made, you need to be performing this spell, so that way the spell name is being used in some form of check. On the same frame, a bunch of other checks are being made, so that way the spell name is confused as something else, because the something else should be in a specific spot in memory that is not there, because we have overflowed it a long time ago, and then we just filled that stack with a bunch of spell names while we were in the air. Now, here it goes. It says an internet connection PC allows blah 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 to spread corrupted save files, and that is where the real problem comes here. Is sharing these corrupted save files is the issue. Sharing a save file you've set up, and I do have some more information on that. Basically, like getting all this set up and crashing the game, and purposely crashing the game so it cannot perform a save at about the same point it does a check, because it does a save just before the check. So yes, so that way when the person loads the game, it will load on a check. Error out, you die, and then basically you want the player to instruct them when you load the game, as the game is fading from black into the game, go into the menu and hit quick save. And then when your character dies, or if you're still in the menu, load. Or if you can get back into the menu before you die, quick load, or load that quick save, and you're done. Activate. And in this case, they are going after like specific spells with specific names, with specific effects, for specific timings, to specifically have a set of data that will be looked at, that when it's looked at should be confused with an instruction, because it will not quite appear as we see it, because it puts, as you're seeing, is it's pointing out here that there's a bunch of stuff that's going to be bunched together, and that's kind of the thing that we are messing with. We're messing with these bunches of data, and it's looking at how data changes, like number text, to consider certain things. And I like how landing often crashes through a master due to physics overload, interrupting execution. A restore health spell might fall damage buffer, but don't guarantee memory alignment for execution code. Web 14. Hypothetical outcome: if a rare unpatched. Basically, it's saying that we are attempting to use an overflow that had already existed in the Game Bro spell handler while we are in mid-air, using specific weird names like TMG, player add item, in a specific number set by using specific spells to add in this number set, could execute on landing, guaranteeing God mode. And it should take a screenshot and share to Steam. However, there have been modern protections to prevent some of this. Most of this is improbable. Markdown is not a fun system. So, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here that you can go back and look at and review. And I think, if anything, some of this is just really kind of cool and fun. Me actually playing the game, it crashes about every 20 minutes once you OLO the game. It gets to be damn near impossible to play. And to be honest, I'm at a point where the challenge of being able to actually do the game OLO is the only thing keeping me doing an OLO game. The negatives are heavy. So before I leave today, I want to point out a special announcement. This show, 3D Changes Perspectives, is on every other Sunday. And for the history of this channel, there's always been a different show on the other Sundays. For now, which is subject to changing anytime, I'm going to do a gaming stream on the other Sundays when this show is not on. So if you saw this episode, this show's episodes, Define Die is what they were called. Well, it's coming back, but with a different twist. Instead of seeing what characters we can freely move from game to game of different genres, I will either be talking about technical specs, gaming community situations, or just general reviews of games, but also be playing games. It'll just be games. And since this week I'm talking about Living Remastered, I think that the first game we should mess with and Define Die